Assalamu alaikum, dear viewers. Welcome to another edition of our weekly Peace Talk Show. This is the show that is brought to you to discuss on issues surrounding peace and how to design a better way forward. Mbadingolu mbe mo be kontonna ndolle mutanale jang na loku lokun kara kacha coming sotale jang fatu network. Nyinon lati dami along ko kacha cool nim fanna la mi along ko na Cairo Kenya nying aning tanko. Bi fana mun lungal de mi along ko ngamo farman simbal mo farman sarim balde soto jang mi along ko ni wolle be ku kacala mi along ko ku kuma balem mati andung bankola sula kole mati. Welcome again. Today we have important people who actually will be engaged to actually discuss on a very timely topic which actually requires everybody's contribution. So in the meantime today we are discussing on something that is necessary, that is timely, so we are telling you please keep watching. And let me start with the introduction. I have a great man here who actually will introduce himself, and I will tell you more about this great man. Sir, you may introduce yourself.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Viewers at home, good afternoon. And my co-participant, hi, I'm Adebola, JO. I'm a scholar. I'm a university don. I've been lecturing in the field of peace and conflict studies, international relations, and political science for more than a decade now in the Gambia. And I've been able to train, empower so many in both the theory and practice of peace.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We've had that, so that is a very interesting area that we have a great man here today, and also another great man who is actually contributing a lot to the development of the youth of this country, and he actually will also introduce himself. I know the face is familiar to many people, but sir, you may introduce yourself.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be in this platform.
Thank you.
My name is Lamin Saidy. I'm a youth leader in this country, and I'm currently also the president of President Obama's Young African Leadership Initiative Gambia Alumni Chapter.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Another lady, as I always tell you, in this show we cannot leave ladies behind because musol ka fuele ko imantol sasi So all that so lolung alwa musu nyum ajala janne And madam, you may also introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, viewers. My name is Tambedou. I'm a youth leader. I say thank you to the host and thank you to my co-participants.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You are welcome to the Peace Talk Show. These are my guests today, and today we are discussing a very timely topic, which is the Gambia peaceful? We are seeing these days when we caught thieves, when we actually are going out. Sometimes you will hear deaths when people capture thieves. Instead of taking them to the police, they seriously deal with them. People will tell you, I am afraid to go out because when I go out, I will be, my life is in a threat. We have seen a lot of deaths in the society. Everybody is concerned, saying, but this is not the Gambia I know. Sometimes when I watch my status, people will tell me, but is this really the Gambia we know? So this is very concerning. This is very timely. That is why we have to engage these people to actually tell us whether the Gambia is really peaceful. An ordinary person in the Gambia will tell you, this is something that is foreign to us. We never knew this, But now, we are seeing the status quo change. So as a result, this topic needs to be explored, and these people will be engaged throughout. Coming fali mbadingol sula kuba ngole natna la jambi wala nyinti ko na banko mo ka fo bi masilarine manghani Gambia hani nyamandia bi molbe fala be sungol ni mol nga sungol mudambe budela be fala molbe laybe lal janila molman sila kula ko tanke dolbita ni jorangol kuja mahal mini alon ko ay mol silandi ay masilango siande banko kan ando nyum kulde mi alon ko sula kule ma de mi alon ko ngaje komi ko nying am kulde mi alon ko kutalon Gambia jang ando amanya na stila jang anyanda talala because na sita jang ndani den dolta Cairo so la ngasi banko kan jang so nga nyini min so jam be nyulon tang farman sarim bal ni wolle be kaccala ke nyininka fo Gambia dum tonya nga Cairo so janne fo man Cairo so to you are welcome. As I told you, the topic is, is the Gambia really peaceful today? And Mr. Bola, you can actually give your impression on the topic and, on the Peace Talk Show.
Yeah, thank you, Justice. Yeah, to me, relatively, before we can ascertain whether a society is peaceful, you must look at certain signals, you must look at catalysts within the realms of that environment. The fact remains that we are in a nascent democracy, we're in a Bible democracy. And you know, democracy empowers citizens of many rights. Having said this, it is not an issue that is phenomenal only to the Gambia. You get to know there are, you know, global changes. There are not transnational actors within the place of economy, politics, religion, and cultural influences that actually affect the life and patterns of will of life, you know, that prevail, even in the Gambia here. So essentially, we are saying the peace of the Gambia needs to be defined from the realms of its stage, because you don't just talk about peace without necessarily know the dimension of peace, without necessarily know the front of peace. And I used to say, or according to John Gatton, who is actually a well-great world scholar in peace research, for you to define peace, you get to know what conflict is all about. Exactly. And as I said, global trends has now portrayed on us what we call, you know, transnational conflicts. These are global issues which actually require global solutions. And having said this, if you look at the Gambian society, though in terms of population you may not see us as too big, but we said what happens elsewhere because of transnationality issues also happen in the Gambia as well.
Mr. Bola, I will come to that, you know, I will come to that because I know actually this is something that we actually have to explore your knowledge today. Let me just actually briefly, you know, get the impression of these people on the Peace Talk show, and also, you know, let them give synopsis on the topic as well. Mr. Saidy, you can actually give introduction and perhaps, you know, some appreciation to the Peace Talk show.
Thank you very much. I think this is a great program in the sense that, you know, as a country, we need engagement, we need such dialogue to know perspectives of, you know, peace, as my colleague just alluded to. And I think he gave a befitting introduction to the subject matter, and certainly, I mean, within that confines alone, we can limit this discussion to. But I quite agree, and I always tell people, you see, as a country, we have to also brace up for the realities of life. We have to understand that, you know, globalization is also taking place. People are connected. People are moving from one end to the other. And but again, also we need to have this conversation and go back to probably the traditional way of you know, policing to be able to, you know, salvage ourselves.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Madam, you actually also give your impression on the topic and also on the Peace Talk show. And Madam, you are at liberty to speak any language, you know. In fact, throughout you can speak Mandinka, Wolof, Jola, Sarahule, any language you wish.
No, I have to dictate what she was speaking.
You dictate that
Okay, you can speak any language, you know, because the people at the grassroots need to hear this message. Sure. The objective of this show is to enlighten every Gambian. So, you know, we actually are not restricting ourselves to any local English language, you know, but any language that we feel like, you know, we can speak it, because what I want is that
our colleague cannot speak, you know,
it's okay. I'm very comfortable.
Exactly. So what we'll do is probably she can be speaking. We can mix it.
No, it's not a problem.
Probably I will try it as much as possible to also
to summarize some of the areas. That's fine. That's fine. Yes, Madam, you can give your impression and actually some synopsis on the Peace Talk. So.
Okay, it's a pleasure to be on this Peace Talk show, as Justice has just mentioned, because right now in the country we all know that we don't have absolute peace. So we need to discuss that as youths and how to sensitize our fellow youths on the ground, because peace is very key. For us to have our daily activities, there must be peace. Peace has to prevail. So Madi Mandinkol nata jambi mbeka chami foka wolon banko la fo banko be tenkondine fo kayro be banko konole o be kala no nyaadi do wolon tol fondinkel minul be jang ndol le se o katiano parce que bata da jama fondinkel aka bon tol la karola anintol musol woto kayro katia is something me alon ko it's very important.
Thank you very much. Mr. Bola, actually, can you tell the Gambian what is peace? You have been lecturing in this field for over a decade, and you know both the nitty-gritties of peace, both the theory and the practice. You know, you can tell the people more about peace, and actually, I will, you know, translate it, and Mr. Saidy also will help to translate and buttress on it.
Okay, thank you very much. I won't come from the realms of academics because of our fears at home. I will try to, you know, moderate and be within the confines of understanding for the generality of people. As I said. peace is just a kind of a proper noun. Peace is always very difficult to define. And peace is often seen, or you know peace in its absence. That is, we only know peace when we don't have it. Having said this, many scholars have written about peace. And you get to know that we all embrace what Joan Gatton have said about peace. For you to define peace, as I said, there are dimensions of peace. There are strands, there are forms of peace that you can talk about. For example, or I haven't said this, there's what we call, negative peace, positive peace, according to Joan Gatton.
Yeah, exactly.
You see, the natures of peace we have in the Gambia is emerged within the realms of this negative peace. What does it mean? It actually tells you that what we are peaceful, you may want to say, in our social fraternity, in our daily fraternity, but there are catalysts. These catalysts are the signals. These are the germane issues that prompt up issue of conflict, whereby we can lose our peace. Then you get to know negative peace is not only absence of conflict. It is not only absence of violent conflict, but we say there are rudiments of the environment, which if these are not present, obviously it generates conflict. And within the realms of negative conflict, you get to know that we are closer to conflict than to peace. And that is why we said peace is often seen as a total state of harmony, a tranquil, what you can call a perfect and, a perfect status quo, where right, justice, and whatever are all this obtainable.
Thank you.
But can we say,
Okay.
All right. I have just mentioned one forms of it, but I need to talk about positive peace. Because this is often erroneously misinterpreted. You see, it is always very difficult to attain positive peace because it is a perfect state of harmony, of which it is very rare globally. But we cannot attain positive peace, according to John Gatton, negative and positive. But I have been trying to research and coin out what we can call sustainable peace. Sustainable peace is what we have in the Gambia. It's a nurtured peace. It is a peace that is common all over the world, which means there are rudiments of the environment, there are rudiments of the society, which must always be in abundance for us to be in peace.
Mr. Bola, we will explore that sustainable peace area which you said. We said we have negative peace, we have positive peace, and we have sustainable peace. We will look at these things in a short moment. Mr. Saidy, do you actually have something to say on this? Because Mr. Bola said something very important and interesting that the people need to hear. So actually you can actually say something on those ones.
Yeah, like he said, for me, in a broader perspective, I hold the view, and this is my view, that probably peace is relative to a certain extent. I mean, with all the happenings in the Gambia, somebody will tell you Gambia is a peaceful country. But I think now for those people who will now have the understanding that look, our thought about peace would be found in one of the three categories that he has just highlighted. For I think that enlightenment is important because again, also somebody who believes that really Gambia is peaceful would also be correct. If somebody said Gambia is not peaceful, certainly the person will also be correct, going by the three categories of peace that he just talked about.
Mr. Saidy, what is your view on the increasing violence in the society? If you can speak any of the language.
Fitno coming fitnol siatanka moy nkeje akata fenede mi yalon kay mo be sula la kanto momo banko dingote ila la foba kala nyinati wala sango ita fay bang ima moy ko moye mo so murula wala moy mo barama wala mo fon keleta fon bar bitum wolta bayno la fana andum fonse woto nyalla fo wolta bayno la in there is no way that we can exist as a society and will not be involved in conflict wo fitnol ta bayno la but then kamim fo la ko mba tala no nyaali to di biam minimum mba tala no la nyaadi killing wokono wala nyinde ko comme nga fa nyamin rong ay mo be sulale kandung ninko ngallano ngasino mbalo nako tonya motinano kan tonye that I should be able to go to bed and nobody will be there to sneak into my house. Nobody should attempt to steal from me. So say member caring nga jele and then a jahalo warta nga je watu nim police ole mul arrest e kamini be muta e ka jorangol le tarebo you know they are either armed with weapons knives and so forth so we miro min samana mol da mind kono wala nyindiko how do we ensure that ne say mba nyin mba kairo nyin sabatindi nola mba jenola ko ngo kelo nyin nga kele because kebali ya nola but mba kele nola nyaade le say wala nyindiko society have to come together collectively to ensure that these criminals or you know are coming from our homes. Everybody, we have to, we have to grow up to the European standards where, we raise suspicions. Niye moje lori la korda bunda la mafongola. Niye moje la environment or miyalonko is strange. You report.
Seriously.
So umfutata was stage lot now
exactly.
to take those precautions that we should not be complacent. That it's normal and oftenly. Nyimkuri albeka ke daminto. Jama. Somebody will tell you, when a crime is committed and they said somebody came in or a thief is caught here or somebody and you will hear somebody said in fact in the morning I saw this person here.
Yeah, exactly.
It's you see something me alonko is strange to you I jahal bari ita kukela je foni wato mina mantoro sama.
We will look at these things very well because what you actually are communicating to the people coming from mole wala nyintiko tanko ni banko la nyadota wala komi security amantra man sakunda da mabul barabe mobile bulu ite bela korda kono ebe sila kawo ebe tamang ila bitiko to ne moje mi alonko ma mari Kenya understand rek inyanta mole kila because man sakunda abijan tolle
pour mo banko lolu sa warugal la ci ñep.
Exactly.
pour jama biñ am wala jama biñ buga wala biñ nama ñu am ko ñu mun ko dëgëral fii tamit loolooy lan mooy ne ki nekka dafa la war a soxal soo gisee loo xam ne dafa doy waaru soo gisee koo xam ne si sa dëkkuwaay xaw na laa jaaxal waru ñoo toogaat because tollu nañ foo xam ne criminels yi ñu ngi jóg te ñoom tamit ñu ngi jàng si ñun ñu ngi ñoo bàyyi xel ñu ngi suñ biir kon lu ñu mën a def rek mooy ne fi nga xam ne jotaayaa nga fa jotaay boo xam ne xëj na dafa xaw a kéemaane ak yow loo war a njëkkaa def rek mooy ne nga make sure that nga inform the police it's not you are not bad
seriously
you're just doing the right thing.
That is very true and we have also seen that today Gambian women are saying that ndemang hani kafundi bi muka hani kafundi some will tell you even to go out it's very sad last time I saw a woman who actually was dumped at the forest, a Musofa forest, so she was crying. And not only that, a lot of women, women actually should be emboldened. But women are actually telling you that we are suffering, we are crying. Even sometimes daytime kafundi is a problem. And we realize that, okay.
And you can be even men.
Seriously. And what happened is that town trip of we have seen that, Musul left our and I know the mother also came through a town trip, you always see all the time, but it can feel like taxi drivers or whatsoever, they try to, do certain havocs on them. Madam, what do you think, actually are affecting women in this current moment?
Okay, just like Mr. Bola has mentioned, he said there is positive peace and negative peace. And I think right now in the Gambia, we are moving with negative peace. Because Niajanko, we are moving with negative peace. Sakantol musol la karo. Ite hanyira kom ya fanyam ite hanyira ka taxita miyalon ko imalon. Because mtol musol we are very vulnerable. Because nin Cairo mantara damen dorong ntol musol leka bata nin dindingol with the disabled. So at the end of the day ntol leka suffer. So the negative piece wole fango sembo warata than the positive piece I mean for. Because ibeta la marseto imalong inin jumale be benna imu musoleti ibe dunna taxila taxi nying imalong ye ilafta ke la kodojo pour ay futandi be futala dama but instead the taxi will divert abetala be kukele la mi yalon ko you will live to regret andum ante ngamira baluwo ko no femman ko le amin tambita repla ya understand because woka ka feneti mi yalon ka tu kungolo kono so Gambia mu bankol ti ngaw nin Cairo lelong if I can remember ngamira do mudi ni wolte bari ngamo ngamira kabring fo poplo minene nata nun jang kabra jita ay banko le ay jimita la banko kis because we know Gambia as a peaceful country. Exactly. But right now the way things are going, just Bola has mentioned we are in the negative peace.
Seriously. So, and Mr. Bola, we come back to you again. And we come back to you. You said sustainable peace, you said negative peace, and you said positive peace. Yes. And then also, where actually in these three categories do you actually categorize the Gambia today? And also, we have seen a lot of killing, murders, rape, and people missing. Okay. What do you think, are the causes to this?
Very good question, Justice. If you look at Global Peace Index, out of 158 countries in the world, Gambia is ranked number 74 as of last year. Okay. Now, what are the parameters that they use to arrive at these measurements? You get to know standard of living is one of the major prerequisites that determines the natures of peace you get in a given environment. You understand? I don't subscribe to conflict, murder, killing, or what you are saying, but we got to understand the status quo. What do I mean? You see, standard of living is very low. There's high rate of poverty. We are living in a very docile society. We are living in a society where inequality is very rampant. These are what induces crime. It gives, birth to crime rate. It makes people so vulnerable, and you get to know, because of the fact that human beings have to survive. So we want to go to a certain extent to exploit the gullibility of others for the purpose of their sustenance. By virtue of that, you get to know we find ourselves in a criminal society. But much has to be done. I think we get to that place. Yes. Yeah. Coming back to your questions, you see, when you talk about negative peace, Madam is rightly right. Gambia is in negative peace. Now, as I said, negative peace means absence of violent conflict, absence of war.
Yes, exactly.
You understand?
Yes.
But that does not mean we are in a total state of, harmony.
Yeah.
You understand? What is simply tells that what? There are catalysts. There are triggers within our environment. It's like we are saying, allow the sleeping dog to lie low.
Exactly.
You understand? When you wake up the dog, it becomes so violent.
Yes.
We are saying, within the rudiment of our environment, contemporarily and even in these political dispensations, it is obvious. All these catalysts are very obvious in our midst. You understand? But the more we can, provide succor, the more we can provide enablement, the more we can ensure that, catalysts of peace are supplanted over and above, the tenacity of these, conflict catalysts, the more we live in a peaceful society. I'm only trying to say that what? There are catalysts of conflict in our midst. Not only in the Gambia, it's all over the world. Even in America, in the recent election, in the recent elections, there are a lot of political banters thrown up and down that generated a lot of conflict. You understand? We are now saying we are approaching election period. Obviously, the polity is so heated up.
Seriously.
You understand? That a trigger like this will generate into conflict. But we must understand the natures of conflict where we are going to.
Exactly. We will come to that, and Mr. Bola, you are going to tell us the natures of conflict that we are approaching, because we need to know from you, from your expert analysis. Madam Tambedou, how do you analyze the state of the country's peace today?
As of now,
yes,
the country, we are living in a negative peace. Absolute negative peace, yes. Because, comme ni ma ko waxee, Gambia bi fuñ tollu nii, peace bi moom dafa tuuti. Because du bëccëg du guddi moom kenn waxu ko. Guddi moom du góor du jigéen. Xëy na bëccëg bi moom ñun jigéen yi lañ dee kof, ñun jigéen yi lañ dee kidnap. Xam nga ñu ngi gis kidnapping bi mu ngi bari, ñu ngi gis xale sa doom su demee school, xam nga sa fit bi du toog, because environment bi moo ñu ko mayut. te dëgg Gambia suñ peace bi waruñ ko caaxaane, especially fuñ toll nii we are in election year. Man si ndaw yi lay gën a wax, ñun ndaw yi ñoo mun a saxal jaama bi sax fii nii. te nuñ ko saxalee mooy comme Saidy suma ex daali mi wax na ko fii soo gisee loo xam ne yow si sa bopp you are not comfortable soo mënutee wax ñi nekk foofu noonu invite leen ñu bàyyi seen xel what is happening in your environment, then with that xam nga dinañ mën a safeguard suñ boppa, safeguard suñ environment bi. Wow.
Thank you. You said something very important. And then Mr. Saidy is here. He actually is a youth and has been working with the youth for years. Mr. Saidy, what do you think the youth should do to contribute to peace and tranquility of this country?
Just to take you from what my brother just said, taking into the parameters, the dimensions, taking into account the measures that sustain peace and otherwise. We are at a stage that a lot of consideration needs to be given. Those considerations will be, for example, the issue of employment, unemployment and underemployment. And again, also, it will also have to be reorientation of our society. Because previously, for example, you would understand that we came from a dispensation that frowns at, foreign citizens here and there. But, we're into a democratic state. You can't do that again. You can't close your borders again. You can't refuse people coming into your country. they must have to come. Now, these people will come with imported, exactly, vices.
That's what you call
You understand? So you cannot really, so at the end of the day, at the time of scrutiny, when they are at the point of entry, you can scrutinize. But again, a criminal will never portray him or herself as a criminal.
Exactly.
At a point of entry. It's when they come that they will establish themselves. And this is why we are seeing all these strange issues. Remember the last time people were intercepted in the forest. I mean, you kept wondering, and these are not Gambians.
Look at that.
So, but we have to accept that these people are staying with Gambians. If you look at the incidences in Nigeria, you understand the dynamics. So we have to also accept that. Look, today, those criminals, for example, have been attacked, on the ground, on the air, on the sea by Nigerian authorities. If the environment is no longer safe for them or accommodating for them, they will find solace in other places where they can cause havoc, but yet still will be living with society. You understand? Because now in Nigeria, everybody is virtually vigilant. Everybody's afraid. Everybody's taking precaution. So, ngami mfowale nyendiko. Be mfurata temple to dami alonko. You come for the world is a global village. Criminals will migrate, like people migrate to seek for knowledge, to seek for employment. Criminals will also migrate. Because Justice, it's important to note this. Today, what happens in the Gambia would not happen in any part of the world. For example, you see, probably that will be free advice to the banks and so forth. You see, in the morning, these vehicles that will transport money, you see, they go and collect a PIU officer, they go collect. The signals are outright clear that this vehicle is carrying money.
Exactly.
And only one security officer with an AK-47 is escorting that vehicle. Now, criminals are studying, and they will know, okay, in the Gambia, there is potential for one to be able to do your criminal activities and get away with it. You go to most of our financial institutions. You remember this financial institution that allegedly was robbed, upon, closed from work with money. That doesn't happen overnight. That situation was studied, so to speak. That environment was studied. Somebody must have studied and understood that these people, they close at this time, they go with this amount of money. So what I'm saying in essence is that we have reached at a stage that we have to proactive towards our own security, our personal security.
Exactly. And we will come to that. Mr. Bola here said something very interesting and very important. The issue is now we have actually seen all this. You have been here, you are an expert, you have analyzed, you have evaluated. And what do you think could be some durable solutions to this? Because we cannot afford to live in a perpetual conflict.
Yes. My brother Friday said something. The world is a global village. And Gambian is an active participant in that village. Don't forget, as I said, we are now in a transnational world where what happens in other climes, even if we are not there, we've seen a lot on, televisions, we've seen information technology has now promoted criminality. And because of this, I want to correct one impression that he has made. You see, criminality does not necessarily mean that probably people that comes from abroad, even within us now, you understand? Criminals, live within us, and they have learned their skills in many dimensions. Having said that, because of our time, you see, there's what we call concept of human security. There are 7 strands of human security where these are put in place. That is where you can begin to move towards sustainable peace. As Madam said, we are in a state of negative peace because there are bite vices that are just lying low. And that's why we continue to pray. Our forthcoming elections should not degenerate into a conflict of sorts. Because if you look at power ratios, power is not symmetric. It is asymmetric. Asymmetric is that there are people that possess, exorbitant powers over and above ordinary common citizens. You understand? Examples abound within the West African sub-regions where we have seen political violence and now it is often being prosecuted. You see, we must uphold the sanctity of human security. That is to say, There must be food security. There must be economic security. There must be health security. There must be political security.
Seriously.
There must be personal security, as he has said. There must be environmental security. And there must be community security.
Yeah, exactly.
This is where the button lies on the rent of just a point, sir. This is where non-state actors and state as an actors need to intertwine as an accord in trying to pursue peace in the Gambia here.
Exactly.
You understand? I am sorry, our time is so limited. I will have.
Okay, no, it's okay. We will explore this, Mr. Bola. You have to come back here, and tell the Gambians, this, human security, because it is something that is very necessary, and people need to know about it. It is like, it is the bedrock to fundamental security.
It is the panacea to peace.
I was saying, he has touched on, and I'm glad that you corrected that portion of my point to say is. I was actually going to give further explanations, not to blame these things on foreigners, so to speak. Yeah. Of course, sometimes, again, also, like you said, for example, let me give an if criminals operate in the Gambia, at the end of the day, technology picked it up, the television picks it up, and they probably, if they are charged by the police, they will give account of how these incidents is happening. Imagine somebody who has access to a Gambian TV in Nigeria or in Senegal or in Ghana. He is learning on how this operation is done, and you will want to do it. So, but again, he has touched on fundamental issues that I think is also threatening our peace. And he talked about environmental security. I mean, in the Gambia, it's evident that these issues have brought about, crisis, among, our citizens and the security, and I mean, for example, the incident of Sanyang, the incidents of, Katong, Gunjur, and, it goes on. And I always advise the state. I said, when the Gunjur incident happened, I did make reference to the Faraba incident. Exactly. I said the Faraba Commission report was very comprehensive. If the state had taken, precautionary measures, they would have averted the situation that happens. I'm not in any way encouraging, I'm not justifying for those young people who ventured, because crimes cannot be justified. But there are factors that once those thresholds are fulfilled, people may resort to certain measures. And food security is another very critical point. Exactly. And let me say this in the local language. Wala nyindiko niya jubi ay fanal minfo. Wala nyindiko na dandango la tanko. Because hadama dungo dobi jara dandango kumaya tay bakele. That niya la dandango ma. Ye fitno iba fitno le within the line. Coming sanyan na kuol keta wala nyama, faraba la kuol keta wala nyama, gunjur la kuol keta wala nyama. Ni mo dobi je wala baluba dandinga la dandango la. Niya la dandango ma dore na ba dunna nyolal. So wo kumaya ta bakele pour man sakunda e ferol landi, and I think the land commission is long overdue. Exactly. Operational commission let with mandates pour kajeko ila kumakangol anila tamandirol wali sotono ya tamano ni obotaje ay fanna do fo kono madame B
exactly
na medam bo nyobulu mba passela nyobulu jana kandum konko the moment something is not in the stomach it gives you a lot of thought. When somebody is hungry, you come in for a hungry man is an angry man. And Usunkarokono, the clear testimony of that you can see in the Ramadan.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody is compliant in terms of traffic. Everybody is angry. The little thing, even if I horn, you are angry.
Yeah, angry.
So everybody is angry. But again, food security beyond Ramadan, if the cost of living is skyrocketing, like he said, he talked about the different classes of people, the political class. People possess power more than the others. There is a category that may be able to afford no matter how much the food costs. Now, in the equality there. So, those who can afford it will buy their food. Those who cannot afford, and they know it's in his store, they will go after him.
Seriously.
To be able to survive.
Seriously.
And that's the reality.
Yeah.
And I said about the other issues, is about economic security. It's about unemployment. Even though in the Gambia, I know unemployment and underemployment are serious threats. I worked for the National Youth Council for, for over 6 years, and I worked for the Ministry of Youth and Sports. And I came face to face with realities of that young people are facing. Of course, even though this is some time ago, but I still live in the Gambia and I interact with young people. I know we don't have any excuse to say I don't have a job, because you know, and I said, and as much we blame these current circumstances, we also have to look at certain factors. Today, people prefer to beg than to go and work. A lot of people. You know, let me cite an example. You know, for
yes.
So I want to trigger a point with her.
We are coming.
I want to trigger a point with her.
Just to come.
See, when you approach, neo musol dol approach, iko lafta kurol la wala lafta fitarol la pro, you know, and be pain you will never see them again.
Serious. We're coming to that. Thank you very much for that point, madam. Do you have something to say to that? And from there,
no, I differ with what like Saidy just said. He said when he was saying the migrants, criminals are migrants.
Yes.
I differ because in the Gambia we should not rule out anything. We just saw what happened. So Gambians are capable of anything.
Absolutely.
So that's why we need to sensitize our youth.
Exactly.
Na youth all phone say sensitize because kafoko Gambia no tenyinkel no we wo jamano tambitale.
This is a problem.
Kafoko criminal or migrate le hani. Yeminul taraja wolle fango ke karandi so na youth sol yalong pour kayro e sabati itolle fanambe mako la abe min fo kan to nyalom pour kayro e sabati kono be falale nin kono mom fa that something else because konko te tararanda ngaje ko domoro be te bulle suton tete osino la bare mbaje la ko ngawostole ani musol la karola fanang musol le se kayro sabatindino andi be o sabatindila no nyame wala be fanne sabatindila yela dimbayal sabatindi kayro se sabatino ama easy nak bari wote fola no balu ko
madam, you said something very important here, and that is that it's a cause of concern. You know, nimol, you know, when migrants are deported, wala minu alonko, you know, they are returned from Libya or other places. I will be hosting them here because I have the Secretary to Young Youths Against Irregular Migration. Last time I had a session with them, and one of them, what he was telling me was very, you know, frightening. You see, in Dol, we are exposed to all kinds of violence. When we are in Libya, every day we think that we will die. So some of these people, they are returned back to this country. They actually understand the AK-47, they understand the guns very well. These people, when they are brought here, they are not properly rehabilitated and they don't have anything to rely on to eat or to make living with. Don't worry, these people will pose a threat to
they will be violent.
Seriously. And that is why, you know, people will tell you, but why Gambians, you know, no, they are exposed. Some went out and they are back. You know.
They are back.
And madam, I know, if you are to advise the Gambian people, that is the government, you know, when we talk about the government, not the president and the minister, but, you know, all the sectors of the government, because starting from the people down to those that we choose to be at the helm of power there, or authority there, what will be your advice to ensure the peace and stability of this country? And what should we do from individual level, collective level, regional level, and to country level?
What I would advise the Gambia government is let them nationalize our security. Let them empower our securities. You know, they empower them through skills, you know, how to maintain peace. Let the security be nationalized. With that, it will help a lot. But if the security is being sidelined, they will feel that, you know, we are not part of the system, so they will just stay away. Around 2016, then I normally go for night duties. But when you close, you will see checkpoints from Kairaba Avenue to Lamin. You cannot count the checkpoints. So they need to maintain those checkpoints back. Let the security take responsibility and help us to maintain the peace in the Gambia. It's their work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Mr. Bola, we are going, and the time is also fast approaching. Today is Juma and whatsoever. If you are to actually, you know, advise Gambians, you know, you have talked about so many fundamental areas which the Gambian people need to hear, because these are the basic things which actually are becoming lacking. And as a result, we are seeing that our peace is at stake. What is your advice to the Gambians?
Thank you, Justice. You see, as I said in my introductions, erroneously we misinterpret peace, even conflict itself. You see, if you look at Global Peace Index that I mentioned, countries like Iceland, Denmark, New Zealand,
the Scandinavian countries,
Canada, these were top rated. What is most important, theoretically and practically, we must inculcate the habit of generating what we call inner peace.
Inner peace, exactly.
And what is inner peace? Inner peace have to do with, you know, individuality. That is, satisfying the basic requirement or basic need of human being, we give you inner peace. For example, I have mentioned human security. When look at some of these countries, all these things they are in place. Madam said we should empower our security. You get to know there are some countries in the world where security architectures are less even feasible. That is to say, they don't depend much on the security that is put in place, but they depend more how you are being able to empower individuals in a way that he or she will not constitute a nuisance to the society.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why we're talking about inner peace. And you get to know that what, for us to have a just and egalitarian society, inner peace have to produce outer peace, which is for the entire society. When I am happy, comfortable in my house, I can afford my 2 square meal, I can take care of myself, my standard of living is okay. I will not go near any forms of criminality.
Yeah, exactly.
But mind you, what we are seeing that what our economic propensity in the Gambia is very low. Government need to understand this, and this is why we cannot close our border on foreign investors. We should not make rules that will affect investment. We must ensure that government is always on the run to ensure that what, as he said, employment is generated.
Thank you,
Thank
you very much, Mr. Bola. You actually have done justice to that question. And Mr. Saidy, if you are to advise, the government, because when we talk about the government, we talk of everybody. Everybody is part of the government. The people who actually are representing us in the parliament, the offices there, that is just a fraction of the people. The government starts from oneself. What will be your advice to the people regarding the peace and stability of this country that we need to jealously guard? We should not take for granted.
First, there are cardinal institutions that are responsible to ensuring that the common good is served. Now, the legislature, the judiciary, and the executive are very critical in this. The parliament needs to, one needs to legislate laws that really would empower our citizens to be able to realize their fullest potential in the agriculture sector, in the education sector, in the skills sector. And again, also, the government machineries should be seen, creating those avenues for the young people to be able to see, to have options, irrespective of what, to have options to be able to go in for. But again, also, to our young people, we have to be enterprising. We have to be enterprising. You see, government cannot employ everybody, they cannot do this, like by all. However, they have the primary duty to create the environment for every citizen to be able to thrive. Now, our young people have to be enterprising. When I was in Ghana and some other parts of Africa, in Ghana, you don't brag about your masters, your degrees, unlike the Gambia, where once you have your BSc, for you, that's all. I met colleagues who I am far older in Ghana. They have already gotten their double masters. But you know what they do? Some of them are into shea butter production. Shea butter production. Some of them, are cameramen. You see? But of course, I've seen the trend changing also in the Gambia, and we have to live with that.
The trend is
so we have to, it has to change.
Yeah.
People have to venture into. But I once wrote on my personal Facebook timeline, I raised this concern. I said, I employed, a mason in my house to do a job, right? He was flooring the floor concrete. He hired the service of another young person. He charged me around $6,000. Now, this young person, he hired that one, who did the donkey of the job, the greater part of the job, at the end of the day, was paid only $200. I couldn't just turn it. I called his attention. I said, this is exploitation to the core. This young person today, who wants to live his own, labor, tomorrow may change his view, may change his way, and venture into something else.
Exactly.
You work for the whole day from morning to afternoon. Somebody tells you, you talk to a friend, he tells you, I was at Westfield today, I palpate somebody. I got $1,000 or $2,000. That's an easy way to get it.
Yeah, exactly. And Madam Tambedou, you actually are a woman representing the voice of women in this country, and actually, if you are to make a statement regarding the state of women and actually how they are disturbed today, what message will you send to the Gambian people? Because time is going, and today is Juma, we have to go. what actually do, because the Gambian women, you know, said that they are crying, and people need to hear your message. And this is just so that we actually are going to allow any woman to come and actually express the concern of women, because the people need to hear the message of the women.
What I want the women to know is, let's empower the women. By empowering women, we will have a safe country. Women will take the lead, and everything will be smooth with us. Comme c'est que c'est dia fa nyaming karango karang mimang mecho soto karango man nafa soto because niko karango dolon tol be do ko kala no office kon bari nga musol fanan sembentu ya fo ya because musol la kamara kordala fo wonte musol la kamara dimbaya ni musol sembentu ya ye banko le sembentu ya ni musol hakilo sabatita banko be sabatita oto al nga musol sembentu ya. Let's empower the women in all ways. Yes, that's what I have.
Just a moment. I know we're running time. I think Safe Hands for Girls has come up with an initiative that we have to promote, because you know we are getting at a stage now that we have to be proactive. It's not about saying it's not about only preaching peace. We have to also see to act on it. So I think what Safe Hands for Girls does is to train young girls on self-defense. You know, we have to move there. They're training them on self-defense now. Because probably, you know, criminals, I would be the last option maybe when they look at our, our build-up and so forth. They have to gang up against us. But for a woman, a vulnerable woman, can you imagine? Let me give you an example. I was moving from my home. Late at night, I was hungry, and I decided to drive out to go and get food. While I was walking on the street, while I was driving, I saw this gentleman on the street with a knife in his hand. Visibly, you can see, in his hand. Walking on the street. Imagine if it was a woman at that time of the night, probably a woman close from work at that time of the night. So you have to also come up with innovations like training women on self-defense to be able to protect themselves.
That's very true. That's very true. And Mr. Bola, we cannot actually sideline women. You actually are somebody who has been into this area. What do you think are some of the things that actually people need to do to empower the women to ensure that peace is attained, even though time is actually gone and we have to close by now, but it's very important, and people are telling me that you don't include women more, and in fact, every show you have only one woman seated there and you have two. So what actually do you think should be done to ensure women are actually empowered, and they also, how do they contribute to peace?
All right, okay, thank you very much, Justice. You see, women and the underage, they are always very vulnerable in terms of conflict. But you must understand the society where you live. Women are not segregated. And you get to know majority of the crimes are not even committed by the women, you understand. Having said this, it is a kind of holistic approach that we must use. Let me quickly round up. Look at it. We all went to secondary school. We were made to pass English language and mathematics compulsorily. Without we have been trying to come up with an idea. Can we have peace education as a compulsory subject right from the infant? Because when a child is taught peace education, I have developed the syllabus, and we are still lobbying with the Ministry of you see, we are talking about when a child is taught peace education from the reference. And even up to university level, you are being made to do some courses related to peace education. Obviously, as I'm so good in English language, so good in mathematics, so I will also be good in peace education. Are you there? So what we are saying, we are all right. You understand? But we are in a global village. These are, majority of what we are seeing here, these are global problems. And I said, it requires global solutions. And that's why you see in our midst now, we even have the economic soldiers in our midst, because conflict is transnational. It has what you call spillover effect. What happens in the Gambia, it's not only the concerns of the Gambia, but it's the concerns of the sub-region. And so therefore, there's a kind of, international conflict management processes that have been put in place. But concerning the women, if I should just answer your questions, you see, there's need for, education. There's need for sensitizations. There's need for participation in politics. You understand? Coupled with all this, women must also wake up from the dogma of sitting in the kitchen, you understand, and realize that there are potentials on their own, because when you are able to fend for yourself and fend for your family, you are taking away from the reference of conflict. Because if you don't have, you are hungry. And when you are hungry, you are angry. And when you are angry, you are a lion that is ready to be very violent, isn't it? Can you see that? So you should empower yourself. You mentioned something like entrepreneurship. Isn't in many countries of the world, as you said. It is only how we brag about our PhD being a professor. No, elsewhere. You have some professors that are just, they are vehicle mechanics. They have their gardens, they have their farms. You understand? So you go to a country, for example, a country in East Asia, sorry, I don't have time. You see, there, regardless of your vocation, your profession, you are a farmer. It is even seen as illegal for you to carve a compound and you plant flowers there. No, you must plant food crops. You understand? Assuming Justice is a farmer, I'm a farmer, regardless of whether I'm a university lecturer or not, I will not be hungry. Then, if all of us are not hungry, nobody will go and steal. Nobody will go and rob. That is it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Mr. Bola has been headed, but actually the Peace Talk Show cannot afford to, sideline you again. You have to be here always and always because we need to actually get these messages, Mr. Saidy and Madam Tambedou, do you actually have any concluding remarks before we go?
We have to reconcile.
No.
Yes.
No, I'm not going to.
Yes, but you have any concluding remark if you can actually tell the Gambians in the Mandinka or, and whatsoever?
Okay, maybe for la mbadi Mandinko liye, wolom Gambia muntol letati, mandula soto na manke Gambia ti. Ming hapunta 2016 kija faro miye mambe ngajele. So woto alnga try mbe Cairo maintain lan na banko ka nyamen. Wandi adiata nyaaw nya yale diatati. Sakanin Cairo bije woto alnga Cairo sabatindi ko mi yalon ko wole be Cairo natira alnga make sure wo sabita ta Gambia kono.
Thank you very much. Mr. Saidy, you have any concluding remark?
Wala nyandi ko na technology na social media nga muna fangala nya kendola.
Exactly.
Isa moje lari ngala larong kang ay WhatsApp ta ay audio ki violent message ay ki ay janjanda asa mol sonno mol dundi nyoto asa mol fitnande ko nga Cairo nya nga fo nga bara la fana Cairo ata mu fene dem yalon ko ka bara la ya fo fana so bang Gambia mun dalti ndelle ba do kuno la ning Gambia benta ba benna mbele so woto mbesa ke hakel tula.
Thank you very much. Mr. Bola, you have any concluding remark? Time is going to
be thank you
Friday
very much.
And,
yes, my conclusion is very brief. We must nurture the seed of human security for us to have, sustainable peace.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
very much. We must nurture the seed of human security. That is very loaded, Mr. Bola. But we have to explore this again next year. Badi gol memobe konton na be jaila komi ala jibero komi natna janne lokun kaira kacang kami sutale jam Fadu Network. Ngamu farman sarim balle soto jambi mi alon ko ngakacha soto kusula rimbala mi alon ko Gambia la tankoti and then benga moyle nyuni min kuma kendol minu fajang. So we are thanking everybody for actually following us and to watching us. This is the Peace Talk Show. We are here at Fadu Network every Friday. We bring people, experts, to discuss on a very fundamental area because we cannot afford to live in a society that is fragile. We cannot live in a society that is polarized. We cannot live in a society that is divided. We have to ensure that we contribute towards the peace and stability of this country. And then as they said, is the Gambia really peaceful? He said something very important. That is, human security needs to be empowered. And that was a topic that we discussed here the last time. The increase in food stuffs, Also, he also buttressed on the, environment. Environment, we are seeing a lot of, attacks in our societies now. Land, people attacking, fighting. In fact, somebody was telling me if you go to court today, almost 70% of the cases are land cases. And this is actually very serious. And then Madam also said, we need to understand the plight of the Gambian women. We need to understand what direction the Gambian women are taking. Because the Gambian women actually, when we empower them, to be frank, we will not live in a society where we will regret because the women are very focused, they are well dedicated, and they are very, very supportive. So me mobe konton nambe jaila mba flale ko ala barka bake andung nin kumo mum fenete mi alon ko nyanta janjan la belto pour moye kayra kumol moy mo nyimu kulde mi alon ka sula kole mati Mr. Bola mu lecturer di American University aning Legacy University abe minna fanna la je wala nyintu aka peace and conflict lecture Cairo in tanko and Mr. Saidy mu funding ke la nyata nga balati mi alon ko do ko ke banko la jamala to funding ke la karola Madam Tambedou mu mol mi alon ka lota musol la nyanto lela andu nga fana mbake kataka mbake la pour ka nyi banko ja tala nyato andu musol la kuol ile be min fanke kay be yir wala so me mo be tentula be jayla mba flale ko also continue kan jibe. Thank you to the technicians and everybody. This is your host, Alasana Justice Jallo. See you next time. God bless you.